Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Cory Sauter Show here at Studio One and SMSUmustangs.com. Thanks for joining us this week. I'm Kelly Loft, your host and Athletic Communications Director at SMSU. We've got a special edition of the Cory Sauter Show. It's after the last regular season game, but we are not done. There's more Mustang football to be played as the Mustangs beat Augustana this past Saturday, and we'll have one more game. They'll be playing in the Mineral Water Bowl for the first time in program history. So lots to talk about coming up in this week's show. And again, joining us is the head coach, Cory Sauter. The Mustangs finishing off the regular season with a 34-24 hard-fought victory over the Vikings of Augustana College, and lots to talk about, lots of notes from that game. Southwest getting the 7th win of the season, which is the highest, most wins ever at the Division II level for Southwest. Also 7 wins is tied for the 3rd most in program history. And Coach, welcome to the show. More importantly, you win the football game, we get some help, and the season continues. And that's what you've been really just hoping that things could happen, and it worked out perfectly for the Mustangs.
Well, it's been a magical season for us, and especially the way that we've ended our season. You know, we had to win all these last 4 games to put ourselves at least in position to get such a bid. And I tell you what, couldn't be happier for our guys. You know, we say it all year, but they just put so much into it, and for them to get something from it really is special. And going into this past ball game, we really treated it as if it was our bowl game, because we just didn't know how it was all going to play out. And with that being the case, we just treated it as a special occasion, playing Augustana in our bowl game. And if it worked out, great. But it was a great way to finish our regular season, that's for sure.
Again, the Mustangs get the win 34-24. Not only was it the 7th victory of the season for Southwest, but it snapped a 15-game losing streak to the Vikings. Southwest beat Augustana the first 2 times the teams ever played in 1990 and 91. And finally that streak is broken. And over the past few years, Coach, you've been a part of it as an assistant and head coach. Northern State, we had a long streak there. We couldn't beat them. Winona State haven't had a lot of success. Augustana, and it's fun to be a part of that. And just shows you the steps the program's making to be able to compete with those programs. We saw it last year, almost beating Augustana, and then get over the hump this year. Shows that you feel like your program's headed in the right direction to compete in the NSIC.
Well, the nice thing is our kids really don't know any better. They weren't here back in the 90s and early 2000s, so it really doesn't affect them a whole lot. They're just playing the next game on their schedule, and they had some momentum. They had some confidence going into this game, and we needed everything to beat Augustana on the road, and so. It was just fun. It was fun for us to just capitalize on opportunities that were presented in the ball game, and really we talked before the game really 4 different things. And the one was it was going to take 4 quarters, right? 4 quarters of football. 2, it was going to be it's going to take all 3 phases. All 3 phases had to get their job done. The next phase was we had to play at a 212 level, which is something we preached all year. Just getting that extra degree was going to make the difference. And then the last one is just playing as a team, playing as one, playing as a group of guys that really wanted to have this thing. And we put all that together, and we knew it was going to be a hard-fought game. That wasn't ever going to be the question. It was just a matter of making those plays when they're there to be made, and we made our share of those.
Well, the Vikings finished the season with 4 victories, but that's very misleading, Coach. I talked to them before the game, thought they probably could have beat Minnesota State on the road. They lose, and they had the lead going into the 4th quarter. Last week, they had a lead in the 4th quarter at Winona State. They also lost 10-7 at home to Wayne State. So the record misleading. They're a very good football team and defensively very strong. And they limited the Mustangs to under 400 yards offense. That's the only time that's happened all year. And you said it in last week's show, and you're right on the money that this was going to be a very hard game, and physically it was. And it's just a good, true battle to win on the road.
Yeah. Well, film does not lie. I mean, you watch the film, and it's very evident that they had a very good defense, an up-and-coming offense, and they just have good players. And the only thing is that they got a couple younger players at certain positions that that are key. And so it was going to be a battle. It was a game that could have gone either way, and they're going to be very good in a year or two. I have no doubt about that. And but this is kind of one of the first year of their program with the new head coach, and getting things in position how he wanted it, and so that's just part of taking over a program. But they will be very good, as they go forward. But again, it was our day. We found a way. Guys battled. Guys played. We were able to go down early. Go down the field and score and get on the board first, and I think we've been undefeated if we scored first or something. That was kind of a neat statistic looking back, and we were able to get the lead and really not look back. We always maintained that lead, and again, we made really some nice plays on special teams. Getting grid field position with Jay Schneider, bringing the ball out to midfield quite a few times. Our kickoff coverage, being able to hold them, within the 25, 30-yard line area. Defensively, making some big stops as well as a turnover, and then offensively putting up enough points. I always said if we can get 30 points or more against this team, I really felt good about our chances, and it all kind of came through in the end.
Well, again, the last month or so we've talked about it, and on the communication side, always updating our coaches in the program about what had to happen the last month. And that win at Upper Iowa, we started putting the pieces together that the Mustangs possibly could make the Mineral Water Bowl. And again, the Mineral Water Bowl that goes to the top team in the NSIC that does not make the NCAA playoffs. And obviously the Mustangs had some losses earlier in the season, so the playoffs were not a possibility. But thinking after that Upper Iowa game, you could beat Winona at home, you get some help if Upper Iowa can beat Sioux Falls. That happened. You started working it all together, and then going into last week, the regional rankings come out since the last show, and St. Cloud drops out. Now we're sitting out because St. Cloud then wouldn't make the playoffs. But on Saturday afternoon, Pittsburgh State, who was fifth in the region, they lost at home to Missouri Southern. That bumped them out of the playoffs. St. Cloud State goes in, and the Mustangs now will play Pittsburgh State in the Mineral Water Bowl on December 7th. And we'll talk about that later on in the show. But let's stick back to this game and coach. And you mentioned scoring first, and we'll see the highlights later on. But an impressive first drive. You go for it on fourth down 3 times. You make them all, including the touchdown on 4th and 1. But and fourth down kind of was the key in this game, and we'll talk about that later on. But a great way to start off, and that's, as you said in the past, it's just kind of that how you feel, that gut feeling. Sometimes I got to punt, but you felt you had to go for it, and they're able to come up with it.
Yeah, well, we're a team that is a little bit more aggressive in that situation. We always want to try to give our offense every opportunity to stay on the field, and if it's manageable, if it's 4th and 1 or less, we think that we can win most of those battles, and it's well worth the risk. And that was the case, really, in that first drive, is being able to execute and capitalize on those, and then ultimately score a touchdown. And but you got to be smart with those things as well. And but I think as a whole, as an entire season, we've made some good decisions there, and really calculated what the risk reward was, and guys have been able to execute and keep us on the field.
And we talked about the special teams. The coach mentioned freshman Jay Schneider had his best game as a kick return man for the Mustangs. Several kicks out past the 40-yard line. Special teams, A.J. Page blocks 2 field goals, kept the Mustangs in the lead at 7-3 in that first half. Lance Schubiler did kick a couple of field goals in the contest. It was all a punt down to the 3-yard line by Mike Wenk, and Augustana was able to get out of that tough field position, but a great example again of everybody doing their part. And then the defense gets an interception to set up another points late in the game in that fourth quarter. Just a wild fourth quarter with a combined 38 points scored by the two teams.
Yeah. Now, it was going to be a game that it was going to take a total team effort, and everybody who was on that bus that headed to Sioux Falls, we all had a job to do, and whether that's signaling in plays, whether that's playing special teams, whether that's starting and playing the entire game, everyone had a role and everyone understood what they needed to do, and so we all understand what that is, and just like any other week, guys came to play, and we made more plays than they did, and when you do that, you put yourself in position to win.
Well, again, the Mustangs led at halftime by a 10-3 score. Mustangs kept well below their average scoring-wise at that particular point. The Mustangs come out and score early in this third quarter. Mustang defense gets a pair of three and outs, forcing Augustana to punt. You weren't able to add any more points to it, and they pick up a key third down on a long pass. They go down and score. Then you're forced to punt, but that defense comes through for the Mustangs, gets an interception by Donovan Woods. You get a field goal. Augustana answers back, makes it a 3-point game late in the fourth quarter. And on third and short, Britt Wickett takes a swing pass, breaks it free for a 52-yard touchdown pass with 5:16 left. Southwest up by 10. Augustana, though, rallies right back 6 plays later and scores. And with 3:43, Coach, it's back to a 3-point game. You send out your offense, and a couple of plays in, you get one first down. You're at their 46-yard line. They stop you a few times. It's 4th and 1. Timeout called. What goes through that mind? I know you got a lot of suggestions by a lot of different people, but the Mustangs on 4th and 1, you're sitting at the 46, you elect to go for it, and a great pass to Cody Condon. Mustangs get the touchdown, but not a lot of time in those timeouts, but there's just, I'm sure, a lot of suggestions in the headset from the players that kind of talk about what goes through your mind in that particular play, especially that crucial decision late in the fourth quarter.
Well, you're right in the fact that there isn't a whole lot of time in those timeouts. You really understand that in a game because you think you get time to really think through everything, but those timeouts fly by in a hurry. And so on the headsets, we're talking to really all the coaches, all the full-time guys, getting a feel for what we think we can accomplish, what we don't think we can do. Defensively, they felt we could get a stop if we did punt it. Offensively, O-line definitely wanted to run the football in that situation and get the first down. The way things were going in that quarter, they were scoring some points in that fourth quarter. We kind of lost a little bit of our rhythm there. Offensively, we weren't running the ball extremely well. I really felt like this was a prime opportunity to take a shot and let's go for the win. And that's kind of the message we wanted to send to our players is we're not going to not go to a Mineral Water Bowl because we decided to play conservative. Mm-hmm. And typically guys really like that challenge, that feeling of let's go win this thing. Let's go up and make a play. And the snap wasn't pretty. The ball was near the ground. It was supposed to be a play action pass, which really wasn't because the ball was snapped low and left. And they were selling out to stop the run, and it happened to be the best call versus what they had. And they left Cody Condon on the corner route, and Charlie was able to throw a pass, off balance and catch it. Not only get the first down, but then all of a sudden he scores, and it's this like amazing feeling, across the board. And but no, there was a lot that went on over the course of those few seconds there, trying to decide what we wanted to do, and ended up working out for us.
Yeah, it did for the Mustangs. Some of the stats from the contest: SMSU, a season low 397 yards of offense, 164 on the ground, just 3.3 yards per carry, but hard fought. 115 yards for Tyler Tondrum, 31 carries. Charlie Curran, what a great game. 22 of 30 passing, 233 yards, 4 touchdowns. Had just 1 sack, but it took some big hits, ran the ball 16 times. And talk about Charlie's performance, Coach. Just managing the game, making some big plays, but not turning the ball over. And that was the key. No turnovers for the Mustangs, and just made some big-time plays when he had to.
Yeah, well, you look at really our 4-game winning streak, the way Charlie's been playing, making great decisions. He does not put us in bad spots. I mean, he's not throwing balls up for grabs. He can run the football. He can make good, accurate throws. He can throw the deep ball. You can't say enough about him. He's really doing a nice job, not only this game or this 4-game stretch, but the entire season. And you always feel good when Charlie has the football because he's going to do the right thing more often than not. And just that extra element of him being able to scramble if he needs to definitely helps us out from the offensive side. But another great game by him. Plus he had a
play through a lot of pain. I mean, he took some shots in the ball game and had to play through some of those things. But he's a gutsy guy. He's a guy that will play through anything, and we're very fortunate to have him.
Again, the Mustangs get the victory, 34-24. Lots of highlights to take a look at here in this first half. Again, the Mustangs jump out to the lead and hold a 10-3 halftime lead, and then win the game 34-24. So let's take a look at the highlights. We've talked about it. Now let's see what transpires. And Coach, here we go in the first drive of the game. A 6-yard run here for the Mustangs in this opening drive.
Yeah, and here's actually a fourth down play. Yeah. Yep, fourth down play, and on the entire day we were 4 for 4, I believe, on fourth down. But again, Tyler's a very tough runner. He's going to be able to bounce off some defenders and always get you that extra half yard.
That was the second fourth down conversion of the drive, and here is the third one on 4th and 1.
And Charlie has some options on this play, and lo and behold, he throws the fade on 4th and 1. I probably wouldn't have done this myself, but he makes a great throw, and again, he gets by the corner and scores a touchdown.
And the Mustangs here now, after a field goal by Augustana, makes it 7-3. One of several big returns by Jay Schneider.
Yeah, and Jay Schneider, he's the fastest player on our football team, and he's still trying to figure out schemes and things, but he has really come a long ways here. Really, this past couple weeks, getting a feel for blocks and finding holes and alleys and using his speed as an asset as opposed to putting himself in bad position.
He had 3 returns for a total of 98 yards. On defense, Nate Werner stuffs the running back here for Augustana for a short game.
Here he's playing the 3 technique side on the right, and does a nice job, gets an extension with his arms, gets off the block, and makes a nice play in the backfield.
A nice tackle for loss there for Werner. There's another tackle for loss by cornerback Andrew McReynolds.
He's down here at the bottom of the screen, gets off the block really nice. That's not an easy play to be able to get off and actually make a tackle on a skilled guy in open field. McReynolds has had a really, really good season. He hasn't had as many interceptions, but he's always been in really good position. You don't see too many balls getting past him.
4th and 4 for the Vikings, and A.J. Page blocks a 33-yard field goal attempt.
Yeah, A.J. just has such long arms, and he gets inside and is able to get those things extended. But I tell you what, he's an effort guy, whether he's on defense, special teams, you name it, he never takes a play off.
And the Mustang defense gets back out here now in the second quarter. And a big tackle for loss by Deshaun Miller. Had a very nice game for the Mustangs.
Coming from the outside linebacker spot here, off the side of your screen. But again, he had a really nice game. He had to play through some pain as well. And he's a gamer. He's a guy that'll play through pretty much anything.
38-yard attempt by the Vikings again. A.J. Page blocks it again.
Yeah, pretty much the same type of feel. He gets through the inside, and once he gets a crease, he can extend so well and time things out. He's a good athlete, and he's tough to block inside. That's for sure.
Mustangs on a 3rd down here, a big conversion to Jordan Cross.
Absolutely. Anytime you can convert some of these longer yardage 3rd downs, it gives you basically an extra possession. And we don't want to be in these situations too often against a team like Augustana, because they will make you pay at some point.
And to wrap up the first half, Lance Schuweiler with a 25-yard field goal.
Yep, and Lance has been able to knock some field goals through for us really this entire season. We haven't had too many attempts, but he's definitely has made an impact with our special teams.
So that makes the score at the half 10-3. The Mustangs on top, and a couple of long drives for the Mustangs. That 25-yard field goal that capped a 19-play drive, the longest scoring drive of the season for the Mustangs, and you had a 15-yard drive on that first touchdown. And there's 34 plays right there. The other rest of the half, you only had 6, so it was kind of strange. You did get kind of your average of plays per half, right. But Augustana did a very good job of limiting Southwest possessions, and that's why it was such a tight game.
Yeah, it definitely didn't feel like we had many opportunities. It's just we only had a few opportunities to just get the football, but I'm sure part of their game plan was trying to control the clock, trying to control that part of things, with their offense, and
And they did. They did a nice job with it, and they accomplished what they wanted. It was a 10-7 or 10-3 ball game at half, and for them that's a good position to be in.
Yeah, it was. And the Mustangs had to kick off to start the second half, going to the Vikings, and they're trying to get back into it. But the Mustang defense did a great job, and we'll show the highlights here of the second half as the Mustangs go on defense here to start the second half. And a sack here by Deshaun Miller and Tyler Flood here on third down.
Yeah, they've got a cross blitz inside, and they've got another guy coming off the edge. And if you don't have your offensive lineman in sync, a lot of times someone's going to squeak through. And here Deshaun comes through the middle, and we've got Flood coming off the edge, and we get a nice sack.
First play of the first possession for the Mustangs, longest run of the day. Didn't see many of these, but Tondrum, 27 yards.
You're absolutely right. Very few creases against this stingy defense, and this is just one of the few. And we're able to bounce it to the outside and get a decent block on the outside as well, and get ourselves in position, across the 50.
Later on in the drive, the Mustangs take a 17-3 lead. Top of your screen, Anthony Dean with the touchdown.
And we got the fade up to Anthony, and goes up and makes a nice play. And he's been doing that all season. What does he have? 17 touchdowns on the season, and just having a great year. There's no question he's one of the premier receivers in the Northern Sun.
Again, a third down for the Vikings, and again a sack by Deshaun Miller and company.
Really, the similar type blitz. It's a cross dog with both those inside backers, coming inside, and again they don't even touch him, and that's a good sign when you see that.
So that makes the Vikings punt. SMSU comes back the other way, a third and long situation, and Charlie Kern making it with his legs.
Yep. Had a design quarterback draw. You had a couple different options with it, but sometimes these are your best bets on third and long, is because they're playing so much coverage to take away some of those intermediate passing plays that we have.
Mustangs were just a 7-point lead, but a big play here by Donovan Woods, top of his screen.
Yep, huge play. Being able to get an interception, and not only the interception, but where we get the football. I mean, you've got to be feeling good getting the ball that deep in their territory. And again, Donovan's had a big year for us. He's really been good, in the passing game, as well as making key tackles in certain situations. But he's obviously had a very good year for us.
Yeah, kind of stunned everybody, the pass and the pick, and Mustangs take advantage of it and get a field goal. Schuweiler drills it through, and the Mustangs have a 10-point lead at 20-10.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, we'd love to score a touchdown, but we definitely needed to get the points, and again, Lance comes through for us.
Again, now the Mustangs leading by 3, a third down play. Britt Wickett breaks 3 for the touchdown.
All right, we're trying to get the first down here. That's really our whole goal, and the safety kind of gets nestled inside, takes a kind of a unique angle, and we're able to get to the outside and actually score a touchdown on the play. And Britt isn't known to be the fastest of our receiving corps, but the nice thing is he ran as fast as he could to get down there, and we're really excited that one of our seniors was able to make a play like that.
Yeah, senior from Brandon, South Dakota, big play. And now to the defense, Donovan Woods with the tackle for loss.
And again, as I mentioned before, Donovan's had a really good year for us, not only intercepting footballs like he has all year, but also making plays like this in the open field. A lot of times you think of corners as soft, and he's a guy that's not afraid to come up and hit.
And here's the play of the game, 4th and 1, Mustangs leading by 3. Kern to Condon.
There's the snap almost on the turf, and Kern's fading away, throws the ball up, and I tell you what, I guess I didn't see that happening as well, but we were very happy to at least get the first down, and obviously the touchdown was the bonus part of things. But those are the times where sometimes you got to roll the dice, and this time it ended up coming our way.
And that gave the Mustangs a 34-24 lead. And then final play of the game, Mustangs get a hit here and a fumble and a recovery by the Mustang defense.
Yeah, and I tell you what, way for us to great situation to be in, to be able to get into that victory formation. But defensively, this has kind of been our deal this year, is being able to make a key stop, a key turnover, down in the red zone. This has happened time and time again, and another great stop for us because, if they score theirs, whether it's a touchdown or field goal, you're in an onside situation, and who knows what will happen at that point. So it was a big play in the ball game.
Yeah, it was, and that was a fumble forced by Alex Oliver and then recovered by McCoy Rodning, and the Mustangs get the victory 34-24 over Augustana. So the Mustangs 7-4 on the season. That is fourth place, sole possession of fourth place in the NSIC, and out of a 16-team conference. Very impressive numbers. The top team was Minnesota State, followed by Minnesota Duluth and St. Cloud State. It's a very good program. Southwest in fourth place, and 4-game winning streak, longest for the Mustangs since 1999, and again 7 victories, the most at the Division II level. So again, the Mustangs win that afternoon. You're very excited. Now it's scoreboard time, and the Mustangs get the help they need. Pittsburgh State or Emporia State, we're hoping one of them would lose, and Pitt State did, and that means the Mustangs on Sunday, Coach, you got the call from the Mineral Water Bowl Committee, and they do a great job down there in Excelsior Springs, Missouri, a banquet, and just it makes it a fun environment, and we're excited to play another game, and what an opportunity. Noon kickoff on December 7th to play Pittsburgh State, there's no question, is the premier program in Division II football. They're the winningest program in Division II. They've won a couple of national championships, and what an honor it's going to be to represent the conference down at this bowl game.
Well, I tell you what, once we found out St. Cloud made the playoffs and we knew we were basically going to be the team in the Mineral Water Bowl, I mean, just the goosebumps that you get from that great feeling, and I know our players are pretty pumped up about the thing, and for us to get 3 more weeks of preparation will be key, especially our 2s, our 3s, guys that are going to be coming up in the program. They're going to need some extra work, and it's a reward more than anything. It's a reward for all the work that we put in, and we're just ecstatic, to be a part of this thing and to play in really the only Division II bowl game in America, and that in itself is pretty neat. But there's just so many things we accomplished this year, and things that we really weren't even aware of when we were doing them, but it just kind of happened, and guys just kept playing, kept believing, and just keeping our focus level. I mean, that's the most important thing, is whether we won or lost, we really didn't get too high or too low. When we beat Winona State, I mean, those are the games that you just worry about for the next week, because you don't beat Winona State every year. That's something special. And then all of a sudden, we back it up with another big win at the Metrodome against Concordia, and then to be able to put ourselves in position to go to the Mineral Water Bowl. We knew we had to play a very good Augustana team that's we haven't beaten in a long time, and so we put it all together, and I'm just so proud of the guys because they truly do they just play. They lay it on the line, and they just play and play and play, and they don't really care what the score is, whether we're up or down, and it's just a credit to those guys, because they truly have had a magical season, and we really appreciate it as a coaching staff, because those are fun seasons to be a part of. And as I mentioned, the guys, I haven't had this much fun. I mean, anytime you can have a winning season and do things that haven't been done before, make it that much more special. And that's what we do when we recruit, is when we talk to guys is, do you want to be a part of a winning program that has been winning forever, or do you want to make that thing happen? And the guys that have come up these last several years have bought into that mentality of being that underdog and making something special. And so again, I can't thank our players enough for buying into that and really giving themselves to this football program.
Well, we'll probably have one more show prior to the Mineral Water Bowl. Again, that's December 7th is the game down in Excelsior Springs. Promises to be a great game against Pittsburgh State. The Gorillas from Pittsburgh State out of the MIAA, and it should have a great crowd. I know a lot of people are excited. There'll be a lot of events for Southwest fans down in Excelsior Springs, just northeast of the Kansas City metro area. And again, that next show we'll talk about the All-Conference, which will be announced here right after the regular season this next week. And as we look ahead to that Pittsburgh State game and preview of the Mustangs and the Gorillas, their matchup down in Excelsior Springs on December the 7th. For the head coach, Cory Sauter, I'm Kelly Loft. Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Cory Sauter Show. Until next time, remember, go Mustangs!